Welcome back to yet another episode right here on the Level Up podcast, where we give you all the necessary tools you need in order to uplift yourself and develop all those skills you need from within. Now, my name is Valerie Makhetlaneng, and today I am joined by a very special guest. I'll give you who she is in just a second, but let's do a quick recap. Now, last session, we spoke briefly about the Services SETA, how many SETAs there are, and we now know that there are 21 SETAs. Now, today we get to unpack a little bit of those sectors, specifically about the property industry. My guest today is part of the Research and Insights Department within Services SETA. She is a senior official there. Her name is Emma Mbele. A very good afternoon to you, and welcome to Level Up Podcast.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I see we're matching a little in the black, which is good to keep the show going. Let's talk a little bit about your role. When we say research and planning, I think oftentimes it's easier said than done. It's also the most tedious part, I would say, of any execution is the research and the planning. What does your day-to-day job look like when we say Research and Insights Department? What does your job kind of look like?
So the Services SETA Research and Insight Department, we call it SAY. We love to acronym everything at the
Yes,
SETA.
I've noticed.
So the department is responsible for collecting data, translating that data into decision-making processes where we take market trends, we take industry inputs, we take professional body inputs, we translate it into a plan called SP, which is a sector plan, which is a period of 5 years. From that, we then develop our SSP, which is our sector skills plan, together with industry. Everything that we do in the SETA space is linked with the industry, by the industry, for economic growth and job employment opportunities. Yeah,
and when it comes to the data collection of all of these, how is that conducted? Is it based off of physical actually going out and getting the quotas? Is it based off of assessment that you do when you are on the road as Services SETA? How do you collect all that data?
We've got tools that we use for research. We've got research tools that we use, the surveys, the quantum research tools, which actually validate information from stakeholders to the Services SETA skills planning, because whatever that we do translate into an output of either an initiative or a skills development funding or initiative that will speak directly to those needs. I mean, the Services SETA is responsible for 70 industry classification codes. These industry classifications codes are further divided into 16 subsectors, which are the chamber operations, which is the lifeblood of the Services SETA, where issues find expression from the industry, from professional bodies, from unions, from association, federation. Those issues find expression in the chamber ops and then translate into decision making from the board, because it's the board that actually makes decisions at the Services SETA.
I want to talk about one of the chambers that you mentioned, which is the property industry. This is something that's consistently, I think, always booming and has a service for potential boom all the time. Now, when it comes to Services SETA, when it comes to nurturing that industry, specifically the property market, is there a gap that maybe we're missing that perhaps people don't know about? They don't know that there's room within this industry for a long-term career?
Right, let's take it back. 2 years ago, we then, the Act, which is the Property Practitioners Act, came into play. Moving from the Estate Agency Act. And through the PPRA, that changed the name of the regulator from the Estate Agency Board to Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority.
PPRA.
PPRA.
Got you.
Which is the watchdog for the industry and a professional body that ensures that there are skills that are fit for purpose in the sector. I said there are 16 subsectors. These subsectors are divided into 6 chambers in the Services SETA. So being real estate being one of them. And real estate is the second best performing chamber in terms of the skills development levies that comes towards the Services SETA because of the contributors. It's the Management and Business Services Chamber, which is seen as the mini SETA. But because the classification from registration from CIPC to SARS will classify some of the businesses under Management and Business Services Chamber. But those businesses will fall under personal care, which is something to do with hair. Do we take care of you while you are still alive and while you are dead? Because funeral sector falls within that sector as well.
Noted.
So the real estate is the second by far, is the smallest by number, but because of the kind of money that we make
Turnover,
at the turnover, then it's seen as the biggest contributor in skills development at the Services SETA at the moment.
Right. And when I think of the property industry, I think, okay, you need to either be qualified or you need to know the right people. And I think it's a sector that we are afraid, especially as Black people, to infiltrate.
Yeah.
Because we feel like we don't belong. Land, especially now with the expropriation bill, is not something that we've been used to having. So getting into that industry, how have you seen as kind of the difficulty or challenge that many people have in going in there?
Let's start with the legacy issue. The Land Native Act of 1913 segregated or did not allow Black people to participate in having real estate or land in South Africa, and it actually still continuously affecting us right now as we speak. However, the land, the PPRA and the Services SETA are strategic partners. And we know that the real estate issue is the land issue. Let's zoom into the bricks and mortar of the subsectors of the real estate. We had only 5 subsectors, which were valuers, which were real estate, which were property facilities management, which were interior deco, and which were auctioneering.
Gotcha.
But now we've got 16 subsectors because of the Act. So when I say 70 industry classification at the SETA, they are going to grow when we go on Gazette again, because our subsectors have increased because of the Act.
Right. And does the Act kind of leverage of formalizing more channels? Or is it, okay, so it is that it's allowing
It is formalizing, professionalizing the subsector.
Okay.
I mean, you can't be spending over 500 to $1 million on someone who's not qualified to do what they do. So we've got NQF level 4, which is real estate agent. That is equivalent to your matric, but it's not matric. It leads towards a professional designation. And then from there, we've got NQF level 5, which is a principal agent, where you then become a principal. So real estate issues are transformational issues because we were not allowed to participate as Black people in the land issues. Hence, we speak land expropriation without compensation in the country. But in real estate, we want to ensure that there's professionalization of our, firstly, practitioners that works within real estate. But whatever that we do in the Service SETA is informed by the Internet of Things. We don't just thumbsuck information. It is led by research. Research then ensures that we collect data, which the industry use for their industry norms and ensuring that they make decisions. But let me bring something very interesting to South African citizens for them to understand. While we develop the SSP, which is the Sector Skills Plan, we update what we call hard to fill skills vacancies.
Hard to fill skills vacancies. Okay.
So the industry, I don't want to say that they've rent-seek or they are rent-seeking the SETA model, but they've mastered it so much that they would say that some of the things are hard to fill. Let me give an example. If you go and look at the Gazette and look at the hard to fill skills vacancies, and let me link it for you so that you can understand. That is a document that we sent to the Department of Home Affairs that opens up an influx of foreigners in our country. And when you are looking at hard to fill, we've got a contact center manager as a hard to fill skills gap, which opens up an influx of foreigners. But if you look at that particular occupation or qualification or a professional designation, really it's not a hard to fill. It's not a critical skill. It's a hard to fill skills gap. So let's go back to the issue of the critical skills list, which I really think that South Africa, if they can understand that, they will actually make more informed decisions. We collectively developed a critical skills list as 21 SETAs. Through that, information is expressed in our SSP, which is our sector skills plan. Firstly, in our SP, which is a period of 5 years, now to our SSP, which is a period of, which is information that translate into skills development initiatives.
Okay.
Pause.
This is information overload.
Yeah.
Okay. SP skills plan.
Yeah.
That's over a 5-year period that you're assessing that. SSP, which is skills,
sector skills
plan, is information collected to back up the SP.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
gotcha.
right. And ensure that as we plan, but we're not planning for impact only. We're planning to ensure that the initiatives that will speak to the bricks and mortar of what makes industry ticks, so that that industry can grow the economy of the country.
Right.
So we then that critical skills list is collected, given to the Department of Home Affairs, that informs the people as they come in the country to say, is it a critical skill? Hence, you'd see people applying for contact center manager. The disconnect there is that we've got unemployed graduates that we can train into contact center managing.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that it's also the industry that, because when we say that a discretionary grant, for instance, it's at the discretion of the board of or the administrator, as we are currently under administration at the Services SETA, which we see as an opportunity for us, because we've got a narrow agenda, which means that we remove all the processes that from inception to decision making, which means that the Services SETA stands a better chance right now to actually implement the skills development agenda as informed by our SLA with the Department of Higher Education, our national skills plan, which is derived from the National Skills Development Plan, and the midterm strategic goal, which has 3 pillars: equitability, transformation, and ensure that the South African people have got skills that are fit for purpose for the industry at this time. We're talking future skills now within the SETA space to say, how do we ensure that there is skills that are fit for purpose informed by technology? Because everyone in the country has got an issue with AET. I'm not talking ABET. The SETA will play on the AET, AET.
Right.
AET is me being a baby boomer, born before technology. I don't have skills, programming skill, which then become a skill gap for me, where the SETAs are supposed to be are currently playing to say that we're closing skills gaps while we're developing skills that are fit for purpose for the industry. So this critical skills is very important, that industry, the general public, the community and everyone concerned, all the pieces, strategic partners, inform this SSP, which translate into initiatives that will support skills development and planning.
Is this public knowledge?
It is.
Or is it just that, people are not going out of their way to find out all of these things? Because if I look at the unemployment rate in South Africa, alarming, especially within the youth, above 60%. So if we are sitting on those numbers, and it seems as though there's opportunity for growth and opportunity for development and all of these things where you can kind of plug in, but people don't know, where is that gap? Is it information? Is it lack of access? Is it perhaps that it's not being broadcast properly? Where's the gap coming in?
Firstly, it is the skills mismatch.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of us have got qualifications that are not linked to what we currently do?
Yeah.
Hence, that create the creation of the skills gap. But at the same time, the industry itself, I work in real estate. I'm a specialist in real estate. And when I look at my industries, they use a top-deck approach, where it's, what a top deck looks like. So when you look, and as a triple BEE consultant, when you look at your triple BEE output and the reason why people still, as industry, participate in the skills development is because they want to be compliant with triple BEE. Is by the way, there is skills development. And let me give historical context. Before 2000, with the inception of the SETAs, the SETA's skills development levy was 6%. Now the skills development levy is only 1%. The 1% then became a standard. But people don't understand that if you are self-funding your learners, you are getting not only the 20% for the WSP, which is a workplace skills plan, which we submit on an annual basis, followed by your annual training report, which also from a skills planning, when we're talking about research, is giving us a construed picture. Because we are saying that if you are a levy paying member, you then need to submit the WSP for compliance purposes. But now what we've done at the Services SETA in the past 2 years is to probe also the people that are not netting 500,000 plus salary bill, because that is when you pay your skills levy, if you net 500,000 in your salary bill.
So it's 500,000. I thought it was a mil.
No, it's
Okay,
500,000.
got you.
So
Okay.
what we then are saying is that in order for us to get an equitable picture and a picture that will give us the present day truth, we then need to invite even levy paying members to submit WSP-ATR so that we can look at the kind of skills that the industry would need over and above the update of the SSP. We also do SSP workshops where we call the industry, we call the professional bodies, we call unions, associations, federation to come and inform the research that we've made at the SSP as supported by the WSP ATR submission and data. That research is then translated from a skills and in strategy inside department into strategic data, where we take those issues and translate it into what the industry needs from a skills a supply and demand point of view.
Right. Let's link some of these skills specifically to the property industry.
Yeah.
What are we looking at when it comes to skills and ways in which people can develop themselves to better align themselves to be able to kind of get into the sector?
Let me go back to the Property Practitioners Act.
Yes.
Of five subsectors.
You are like an information bank of all of these things. But yes, let's go back to that.
Five subsectors versus the 16 subsectors that we currently have. All these other additional subsectors did not have. They are not professional. They were not professionalized. They don't even have a qualification. Okay. So as soon as the research unit make a research about the skills development agenda, if you look at our SSP, you will see our research topics. We've got research topics, which are then we also have dissemination strategies on how to share this research, not only with industry, but with all the stakeholders concerned, including the government and every other player. So some of the industries, I'm talking about auctioneering, for instance, it's dormant because there are few people that are getting accredited against that qualification. Remember, as the SETAs, we've moved from historical qualifications to occupational qualification, which is guided by the NQF framework. We've got 10 NQF levels, 10 being doctorate and 1 being NQF level, one NQF level 1 being grade 9. Yeah. So I'm just letting you know to say that we are growing in terms of the NQF level. But the link then, when we moved from historical qualifications to occupational, when you're looking for accreditation, it's not as easy as it used to be. We're looking for audited financial statements, audited what? While we are linking other issues in terms of transformation, we are creating other issues because our people are not able to get these compliance that they're actually looking. And the KCTO is very serious about its business. We're not going to lower the standard because we want skills development providers and academias that are credible that will be able to translate what the South African market needs in terms of skills demand and supply.
And to implement.
I
would think that's an issue that we often seem to have as South Africa, is that the wrong people are placed in those positions and are not equipped
but
to
also
be
let's also bring the industry. The industry can actually open up the South African market and create employment for all the unemployed youth. But are they willing? So we are also dealing with I don't want to say political undertones, but we are dealing with the industry that is really do not have confidence on the SETA model. And it's because when we moved, remember when this in 2000, SETAs reported to the Department of Labor. When we moved from Department of Labor to Department of Higher Education, we did not communicate that. It was just a move. So the industry then lost the confidence of the SETAs at that time to say, okay, we are levy paying members, but we are not benefiting from the SETAs. As it is right now, it's the skills development providers that are benefiting more than the industry, because the industry is doing it for compliance. The skills development providers are doing it as a bottom line.
Got you. I want to talk about, I think maybe let's say the forgotten soldiers of this. I mean, I hear that from an employer's perspective, I hear it from a Services SETA perspective, but let's talk from a learner's perspective. I think oftentimes, and I think this will be the most reliable for them because they obviously need to fill all of those positions and the skills gap. But if I am someone that's at home, let's say NQF level, we'll do 4
Yeah.
for matric
Matric,
purposes. Yeah. And I'm looking to get into the real estate industry, but I don't know anything. I don't know anyone. I don't know where to start. How would I go about kind of infiltrating this market that seems to be fast growing?
Very.
But I don't know how to tap in. How do I kind of go about that?
Let me firstly blow away so that I can entice you.
Yay!
I made my first million during COVID.
Oh, during COVID.
During COVID.
Operative word is during COVID.
Yeah, when
Yes.
everybody was just stuck,
Down
I was
bad.
getting bored.
Okay.
And I started making viewing through online viewing. One of the properties I sold was in Kailami Estate for 10.9 million
From at home.
from at home.
Okay, who did you know before that?
So let me actually map the whole process.
Yeah,
So
okay.
NQF level 4 metric, I'm now wanting to venture into real estate. It's the same NQF level 4, but it's professional designation.
Now, if I'm someone that's at home, I have, let's say, a matric. So that's NQF level 4, and I'm looking to tap into the real estate industry. I don't know how to go about it. I feel like I'm not equipped with any of the skills. I don't know. I could say even. How would you advise someone to kind of get involved within the sector?
All right. So what you can immediately do is to find your realtor,
Okay.
your hood realtor, or from wherever you're coming from.
Okay.
And then go for an interview. They hire you as a candidate, as an agent.
Okay.
And then you go to the PPRA, apply for the FFC, which is an annual renewal. FFC, and then you can start doing NQF level 4 real estate. If you have got maybe work experience at least, you can actually even be RPL, which is recognition of prior learning.
Prior learning, yes.
And as a real estate practitioner or candidate practitioner, when you enter, you need to do NQF level 4 and write your PDE exams, which are like your border exam. And the rationale behind the FFC is that we are protecting our agents by ensuring that they've got insurance, they are covered, even if they make challenges or problems with their stakeholders or clients, at least they are covered from a legal perspective. And it should also give you, a sense of belonging to say
Yeah.
that I belong to the family of
Fair.
realtors. Yeah.
Fair. I hear you say you need to get hired as an agent.
Yeah.
That step right there is where I'm starting to need to get hired, because I'm sure everyone is trying. If we think about it, I'm sure people are trying to get hired. Do I need a qualification to get to the agent level? Or experience in any kind of way?
No. You can actually from school and articulate directly into real estate.
Okay.
We made it easy actually with the Property Practitioners Act, but we do need you to be compliant within a period of acceptable period, because we don't need bogus practitioners out there destroying the market. In Soweto between November, for instance, and January this year, I sorted out over 160 houses that were being hijacked in Soweto. We need to educate our people about the estate law in South Africa. People would actually get rid of their family members because of the letter of authority. And let me blow your mind. We can't use letter of authority in a house in Soweto, because most houses in Soweto are not a forum house in Soweto. It's 500,000, for instance. So you can't have a letter of authority on a 500,000 asset. You need a letter of executorship. So all those things we need to re-educate our people. Let's take it to the municipality level. We did a municipality ratings in the past year, where your property is now, you're looking at your property is now better than what it was in terms of value.
Right.
And we were just doing local municipality valuing of property. Hence, the Services SETA has actually injected money into valuers as the career of choice.
Right.
And I can tell you that there are no valuers in the country. We need to push our learners to actually do evaluation, particularly students that are have got accounting qualifications.
Okay.
They can be RPL into property evaluation. And you don't only evaluate property, you evaluate art, you evaluate anything that is actually has monetary value.
And I think that's a great way to kind of manipulate yourself to mix your personal passions with an industry that is sort of looking into that, because it's not just the property that you are evaluating. Who is this sector specifically designed to benefit when it comes to individuals? Is it those that specifically want to get into property? I like that you mentioned the accounting sector and how that can kind of if you can kind of interject them, or they can kind of intermix to see you stepping into other ways of growing yourself and developing yourself. Who's it designed to benefit specifically?
Actually, we are an inclusive organization. The government, let me say that the South African government is inclusive,
Right.
and we love equitability, as informed by the midterm strategic goal, which has 3 pillars, which I explained earlier on. So we're not closing anyone out. If as a result, when you look at recognition of prior learning, which is RPL, there is RPL for access, which is done by a professional body or a person that owns a professional designation, and there is RPL for credit, where the SETA SDFs or skills development providers can actually assist you to move from an NQF level 4 to NQF level 5 because of your experience and exposure into a particular market.
Right.
But I'm saying to our professional bodies, they are missing the opportunity to ensure that the industry has got skills that are fit for purpose. In the migration of of historical qualifications to occupational qualifications, they should have played a very important role of RPLing and CPDing our members or our communities to actually gain more qualification. But we just let that happen. We were looking at the challenges with the QCTO. As a result, people were making the SETAs fight against the QCTO. We can't fight. We're coming from the same same level. We are strategic partners, which is the PSET strategic partners. So the PSET is a single coordinated system of the government. So there is a white paper on post-education, which set the tone for the PSET strategic system, which the universities, the TVET colleges, University of Technologies, CET colleges, professional bodies, unions, associations, all those players, including training providers, both public and private, are part of the PSET system, where we need to enroll 1.6 million learners by 2030. And collectively, we need to now pull together, because 2030 is now 4 years from now.
Yeah.
To ensure that we are able to achieve that target, to not only develop our people, but as the SETAs to do the work that we are mandated to do. When Tito Mboweni brought the SETA model in South Africa in 2000, SETAs were governed by the boards. There were board of educators of education. From that, then we started with having 27 SETAs, and that those 27 moved to 23. Now we've got 21 SETAs. The South African government is agile by ensuring that we can cluster. If one of our stakeholders are not working well, we can cluster or even venture it out as a standalone. MICT SETA is one of the newest SETAs, because that work actually spiraled from the Services SETA. The reason why the Services SETA is so big today is because they used to call it a dustbin SETA, where if anything did not fall under
just
finance or insurance or anything, would come under services. Filming, technology, we used to be savest under the Services SETA. We are known as the SETA that set the tone, and we do function like a well-oiled machine.
There we go. Inclusivity. We welcome you all within Services SETA, considering the fact that it does have so many layers to it. But I think, Emma, you have come forward to just kind of encompass it for us and make us understand a little bit better. Soon we're going to be chatting to Sia, who's also in the property sector, just to give us a little bit more. But I think from you, just a thank you for being able to explain this to us. If someone wants to get in touch with all this information, where can they kind of get access to most of this information? I know that's the main keyword that I always want to bring up, is access. A lot of people don't have that. People don't have internet in this day and age. Is there somewhere where we can kind of source this information beyond this?
This is public information, it's public knowledge. Even the Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. So keep yourself abreast, understand the national policies, because if you're coming to any government organization, you need to be able to link with our plans. The National Development Plan, for instance, set the tone as an integrated strategic system in South Africa. It was developed by former President Jacob Zuma on the 11th of November 2011, where he called Trevor Manuel to come and bring, with the committee, to bring all strategic tones of the South African all departments within South Africa, and amalgamate it into one goal, which is the NDP 2030. The NDP 2030 was gazetted in 2013, but you're only hearing about NDP 2013 2020 when we've got only 10 years left to adhere and ensure that that national imperative is adhered to. During COVID, the President of South Africa, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, actually came up with a plan called the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. But how many people know the pillars of the Economic Reconstruction and the Recovery Plan? And you should know that if you are trying to tap into the government, we don't bless an individual, bless a collective of people, where we say that bring yourselves and your peers, like-minded people, so that you can tap into the benefit of the SETA. As a single person, it's not easy to get a benefit from the SETA. But if you were to start the council or professional body or an association and bring your issues as a collective, that is when the SETAs across all the 21 SETAs will listen to you, link it with their SSP, link it with their SP, bring it home with their annual report, so that those issues find expression through the initiatives that are spiraling from the research department, translated into the Services SETA or SETA agenda, linked with the SLA with the Department of Higher Education. Remember, the SETAs report directly to the Department of Higher Education. So everything actually works together. If you actually look at it, you will see how many opportunities are out there. And it is for the people to actually find out what are the kind of opportunities in their own areas. The NDP sets a tone for the strategic, the departmental strategies. There are 9 strategies in the NDP. Every department has their own strategy. The SETAs, because they report to the Department of Higher Education, our NDP 2030 is called the NSDP, which is the strategy that we took from the NDP to inform the work of the SETAs. And every other department actually goes through that process to say that they are linked, because I'm talking about a single coordinated system of the skills development agenda, not only skills development agenda, everything else. We've got a spiral development plan 2050. That's what people don't know. We already are planning for 2050. In the NDP, there is a national imperative, which is the top strategy, but that strategy is filtered down to provincial development goals and to metropolitan development goals. Do you know the kind of skill that the city of Johannesburg is going to need in the next 5, 10, or 20 years? We need to actually have that information, because not only do they know the kind of skills and activities that's going to happen, but they've got budget for it. How do you tap into it?
And that's what skills planning is, right? Is be able to foresee all of these gaps, plug them before they become an issue. And I think that will advance you as well. But I like that you're forcing for collaboration. You're pushing for, come together as a community. There's a quote that says you go somewhere alone, you don't get far. But when you go together, I don't have it verbatim. But when you go together, you get so much further. And it makes sense as to why, if you come as a group with like-minded people, your peers, your colleagues, and you come forward to request this assistance, it's much easier to infiltrate and get through. But there are opportunities there. They are there. You just need to tap in within the specific industry that you're in to be able to unlock all of these opportunities to develop and grow yourself.
And there
I
are
think
also new industries that are popping up.
Every
People
day.
are thinking that 4IR is going to take jobs from them, but it's also developing new jobs.
New jobs, yes.
And it's actually giving you an opportunity to actually go towards your passion. So
and monetize off your passion. That's also very important.
So it's very interesting. Actually, the present day truth in the South African government, it's of the opportunities, but do you actually know those opportunities, and can you actually tap into them? Because it's time that we don't ask what the government can do for us, but what can we do for the government? And we are the Services SETA, which is one of the biggest SETA by far. Yes, we've got our own challenges. Yes, we've gone through administration, but it is an opportunity for us with a narrow agenda to ensure that our issues find expression and they go directly for decision making without any bottlenecks.
Maybe the administration they kenya pressure.
It is
Yeah,
actually a
so
beautiful
that
thing.
things
Yeah,
can be
yeah.
executed in the best way possible. But thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming through to give us all of these nuggets on how you can develop and grow yourself. This is your call to get involved to ensure that you can level up and really harness all of those skills. There's lots of opportunities out there. You just need to be in the mindset to be able to tap in and go out there and find all of these opportunities. When we come back, we chat to Sia, who is from the South African Youth in Property Association. He's wearing green. I'm going to go change my shoes so that I can match with Sia. And then when we come back, we get into that conversation. For now, though, thank you so much to Emma Mbele. Shout out to you for coming through to join us and for giving us all of this important information. Get involved now.
See, the Services SETA website is
Yes.
always up and running.
Yes. www.
ServicesSETA.org.za.
There you go.
And not only that, our social media spaces are also running.
Yeah.
And get yourself involved. Register on the Services SETA learner portal if you are a learner, or if you are an employer on the employer portal.
Yeah.
We've got a beautiful system called the LMIS system where you can actually register so that you are kept abreast of the of all the activities that happens in the chamber operations. For instance, issues find expression. Become part of our CEP member. Become part of our clusters that informs the work of the chamber committee, which gives direction to the implementation of our learning programs.
Absolutely. It's one thing to just sit and complain. It's another thing to get involved. These are the opportunities that you have. Unfortunately for you, you have a front row seat to all of this information right here on the Services SETA podcast. We'll be back. Welcome back to the conversation. Now, we've given you a little bit of an understanding on how the SETAs work, how they're structured, and what it takes to become one of the beneficiaries. But what we haven't done is giving you insight from someone that has a first-class experience. Now, my next guest is someone who was a SETA beneficiary, and now they've gone up to level up and are now providing opportunities for other learners to be able to get involved, specifically within the property market. Now, my next guest's name is Siyabonga Mshibe. He is the chairperson of the South African Youth in Property Association, and he joins us to give us a little bit of a success story, but also to give us an understanding of how he's gone from being a beneficiary to now allowing others to get the same opportunities as well. Siyabonga, welcome to Level Up Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, your story makes complete sense as to how the whole program is supposed to go. The whole cycle is supposed to go, is that you become a beneficiary and get all these opportunities and upskill yourself enough to get to a point where you can provide that same opportunity for other people. Let's talk about SAYIPA, South African Youth in Property Association. What inspired you to come up with the company?
Okay, no, thank you very much for having me here today. Like you've introduced myself, Siyabonga Mshibe.
Yeah.
I think just to answer a question very briefly, 31 years into democracy, I don't want to be the only success story in the country.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a township called the Katlo. So there's 1,000 of young people that look up to me, but then they're like, how did you get here?
Yeah.
So I think I wanted to make sure that I pass the baton over and over again. And one of the key things that I've learned is that we live as we rise, you know.
Right.
And we don't have to wait until we're millionaires to get that done. You know, a lot of people that are my age that look up to me, they relate to my story. So it's easier when I'm young to actually level that up.
When you say your age, what are we talking about? Is this the part where you tell me your
Yeah,
age?
I think I'm left with a few years before I can exit the youth phase.
Okay.
Just a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 18 to 35, somewhere there.
Yeah, somewhere there.
And I mean, you started as a beneficiary of SETA yourself. Let's go back there.
Yes.
How did you first get involved with being one of the beneficiaries of a SETA?
Okay, I think one of my key stories that I always share when I go out, and I always say that I'm a proud beneficiary of Services SETA. Even when there are other stakeholders and real estate that said, but we found you. And I'm saying this because one of the first projects that I did with Services SETA, it was called New Venture Creation, which opened opportunities for me to actually get my first employment, formal employment. And that's where I just had to learn everything in terms of how you conduct yourself as someone who works in a working environment. And the new venture creation concept, it's us young people who are saying, how can we create new ventures in businesses before real estate? So that's where my journey with SETA started.
Okay. So before you got started with SETA, where were you at? Did you have a matric?
So yes, I completed my matric,
Okay.
and then I was actually in a gap year, either having to find myself. And I think that's when SETA absorbed me.
Yeah.
Right from there.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. And then obviously you were part of the beneficiary, part of the project. You then went on to, I assume, get your qualification. And thereafter, which is when the birth of SAYIPA came.
Yeah, so I think after new venture creation, I then ventured into real estate.
Okay.
Venturing into real estate is because of I had to make a decision, after the program, then what?
Yeah.
Do I go back to the township? Do I go back to school? Do I go hustle for another job? So I think understanding real estate at Vets Business School, I met my mentor there while I was still one of the SETA programs. So within that process, the mentor took me through what real estate is, and then I was interested. I was intrigued, and that's how I actually ventured into the other program, which is the real estate with Services SETA, because I was then employed in a real estate entity.
Okay.
And one of the key things there, real estate is commission based. So it means then I have to wait 3 months for the next paycheck. It's not like how I used to be.
Consistent.
And while I was actually as employed in a real estate franchise, one of the key things I want to highlight is the fact that my first commercial deal was front opposite where I used to work.
No way.
And it's no magic. Real estate teaches us that you need to be an area expert. So while I was going to work, the only area I was familiar with was Parktown.
Yeah.
And during my lunchtime, I would go around, take photos of properties, list them. And I think I then got my first deal there.
Wow.
And the amount I got there is equivalent to what Vets was paying me annually, like once-off check.
Wow. And you got that, you made that from a once-off transaction?
Yes.
Wow.
But also it took time. It's not like I left Vets and then I joined real estate. Then, it took time. I think 6 months without anything in, but continuously putting in the work. So when I got that first check, I was convinced that real estate is everything I need. Even my parents, they were shocked. They asked me,
hey, you got it in 1 day from what we think is going to be a year.
And they were like, we don't want any hawks coming in here, And I think also it boils down to understanding real estate and the birth of SAYIPA.
Yeah.
I'm the first generation at my home to actually be a property practitioner. They don't understand that concept. So I can imagine how many other young people want to venture into the space whereby from home, they don't understand the concept. They think that in this world, the only way you are going to be successful is either being a doctor or a police.
Yeah.
So, that's...
Okay. Let's look at the mirror effect of, you started as a beneficiary of Services SETA. You are now giving that opportunity to other people. How did you first get involved to be one of those people that give opportunities to others through the likes of Services SETA?
I think, firstly, it's while I was on the program, we identified quite a number of challenges, which the same challenges speaks to the retention rate, which is very low, fail. And we can't sustain that. Currently, we have 4.9 million young people outside jobs. They're unemployed.
Yeah.
And I think real estate is a beacon of hope for them, firstly. And for me to become part of SAYIPA and the formulation of SAYIPA is us identifying these challenges and raising our hand up to becoming solution-driven people in the sector. No one can narrate these challenges better than us. Even those that crafted them, they've never been part of this program, So we said, maybe let's play a positive role in this country, and contribute massively. And I think in our first year of establishment, we've done quite well. I can fairly share that we've already produced a principal property practitioner through our initiative. So, Yeah.
And stories like that keep you going, right? As SAYIPA, is that you see the impact that you're making. You see that, okay, this is working out for someone. It may not be like that all the time, right?
Sure.
And I assume with something specifically like property, which fluctuates over time based on the demand, how are you dealing with the challenges that come with ensuring you meet your mandate as SAYIPA when there are all of these challenges?
Well, to be quite honest, we constantly try and make sure that as a team, on a yearly basis, firstly, we host what we call a gala dinner. A lot of people don't even understand the concept. Why would you just host a gala dinner? This is where we reflect and we sit back and actually celebrate the strides we've made in the sector, because we spend a lot of time lobbying, chasing after these things to be done, making sure that young people get a space. So a gala dinner sets a good food for us to reflect as young people and say, this is what we have done, this is where we failed, and this is our commitment for the next year. And when we make these public commitments, it also gives us a responsibility,
Yeah.
because next year when you come back, they're
must
like,
be
you said this,
yes.
I'm a huge fan of accountability, by
Yeah.
the way, because I firmly believe that in this country, for us to get it right, we need to be accountable leaders, shy away from popularity and all those things. So that's one of the first key things that we have done as an organization.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that the Kalatina happens, so that we go back and report and say, this is what we have done, this is what we have, this is where we have failed. And equally, when we call stakeholders on board, we want to make sure that they come and assist, because where we fail, they might say, I have my hand up as SETA to assist on 1, 2, 3, and we get our things right. We are firstly dealing with a huge number of young people that are either distressed, their morality is low, like everything is so there's a lot we need to do, even from a mental perspective, psychologically wise. And we understand, that's what I'm saying, as young as we are, we then understand those challenges, and we are able to then guide young people with ethical leadership, and say, yes, we are facing these challenges, but it's not the end of the road. We know, I'm for one of the beneficiaries that can attest that I've said to programs whereby it was set up for failure, but I've set it throughout until I get my qualification, because I knew that it's an opportunity that more than just gives you a certificate or gives you a stipend. There's more to this, and you end up being in demand in the sector. So yes.
What I love specifically about SAYIPA is exactly what you're talking about when it comes to even our government. They don't really know the issues that we deal with, because they're not within the same realm of reality as us. So with you being someone that's providing opportunity but has been through it, you understand the hunger for that.
Sure.
How important is it for something like SAYIPA to be run by people, not for long, you're in the youth for a couple of years, but for people that are within the youth and are able to relate to, the youth themselves and have a direct line to them, to be able to have a conversation that they can understand. Because I think with businesses, they can come through and say opportunity, initiative, they're meeting numbers. But for us, as the actual youth that need this help, how important is that for you?
Firstly, civil organization exists because we are not where we need to be as a country. So positioning SAYIPA as a beacon whereby we want to make sure that firstly it's youth run. 90% of the people that are leading SAYIPA are young, 60% women. Also, this gives us a broader perspective of every young person in real estate. We have picked our battle that, look, in this country we'll fight the transformation of real estate. So positioning young people in that space to make sure that firstly, the impact that from different spheres, let me just give you one practical example. On a board perspective, we've got board of directors and different entities. And these are entities that sometimes they drive impactful change for the sector. Most of them, they don't have any young people that are there. Chances are solutions that are driven there, they're not technologically there's no AI improvement there. There's no young brain. And that is why personally, I want to relate my story myself. Because once it gets narrated by someone else, it gets diluted. By the time it gets where it needs to be, it's no longer authentic as it is. So it's very important for us to make sure that as we move along with the civil organization, young people are not only part of SAYIPA, but in all these spheres and organizational phases, they are there. And I think that gives confidence not only to us, but to the youth themselves. I can tell you right now, the country Botswana, they enjoy the same benefits. Their youth minister, the minister there is youth. I've been there, I've visited Botswana. They say things are better because they have someone that they can relate to, and someone that understands their challenges. I'm someone, like I said, I'm an open book. I say things as they are, primarily because I understand the challenges I've been through, and I've got solutions. I think there's a lot of solutions that want to drive in the sector, but as our mandate is to make sure that we position young people in the right space so that they make these impactful changes.
You mentioned 60% women.
Yeah.
You also mentioned 90% young people.
Yeah.
How many people are involved within SAYIPA as a whole? When we talk numbers, when we talk perhaps if these are facilitators or even just people that are part of the program, what are we looking at in terms of numbers?
Okay, currently we have over 1,000 active members. Wait.
Sorry. I'm getting excited. Okay.
I'm saying 1,000 active members.
Okay.
Active members in the sense that an association is an association because of its members.
Right.
And what drove that attention, I will tell you why. we had our membership fee high at the time, whereby it was 200 Rand per month. And then we had to sit back and reflect, but guys, a lot of young people that we represent
Yeah.
now it's only 30 Rand or 250 per year.
Nice.
Which drove a lot of influx. People that are saying we're interested, want to join real estate. And I'll tell you one another example why is that so. The real estate is one of the sectors that serves not to be replaced by anything, not even AI.
Yeah.
That's how confident I am with real estate.
Yeah.
In anything we do, there's real estate involved. It's a sector that contributes 9 trillion Rand. So when we divulge on these numbers, people get excited. How can I be part of this? And also, one thing we have seen in terms of home ownership, a lot of young people are hungry to actually own homes in this space.
Yeah.
So the number of association means that firstly, it's 30 Rand per month. It's easy. A lot of people then come, join, subscribe, and they join the membership. And then we've got programs that we run, programs whereby we train from PDE. So PDE is the preparation for professional designation exam.
Okay, so PDE preparation
for
professional
designation exam.
Okay.
Yes, in partnership with several stakeholders. So this exam quantifies property practitioners and gives them the certificate that they are qualified. So after SETA gives them the certificate, they still need to go and write what we call professional designation exam. And I'm still talking about one segment in real estate, which is just being a property practitioner, being an agent. There's facilities management that is there. Currently, in actual fact, we're part of the transition whereby there was a transition from the Estate Agency Affairs Board to the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority, which when that came into effect, it gave birth to 12 subsectors. Those 12 subsectors opened opportunities for many young people, So that is why also we now have what we call the Transformation Fund under PPA Act. I think it's Chapter 4. This is where now there are opportunities for young people to get into the sector. So that's why we have a lot of traction for the membership. Gotcha. One of the key challenges we face, as much as we have a lot of numbers, it's housing these young people. Because yes, we don't want to create an influx of everyone coming in, but then we don't have the necessary capacity to actually house everyone in. However, what we have done as an organization, the first thing, we created a library. So when you join our membership, there's a portal where you go through the courses that are there. What is real estate? What are the courses that are there? What are opportunities that are there? Because not everyone wants to be an agent. What are the investment opportunities? Because one of the key things also we want to teach, it's financial literacy. Yes, you can have money, but what do you do with it? And we know our peers, what do they do with the money? So we want to change that. So from an investment point of view, even teach on how to invest in property, which is property investment. So that's why I'm saying we have a lot of influx of young people that are hungry for this information. We want to make sure that we are capacitated enough to house them in all these subsectors. Like I said, you are interested by the 1,000 numbers we have. We have 4.9 million young people that are not unemployed. So it's for us, we haven't scratched the surface. But like I've said, we still have a few years before we exit the youth phase.
Absolutely. And before we wrap things up, I mean, you are fortunate enough to have been a part of Services SETA, to know what it's like and what it takes, and to know of the hunger that many of the youth have. But some corporates don't. Some businesses, they don't even, they can't relate. So it's not at the forefront of what they need to do. But how would you inspire other employers to kind of get involved with the likes of Services SETA to ensure that our youth is given opportunity, and so that we can take those numbers down, because it's a bit scary.
I think I'm going back to the library we have created. One of the key things that we looked into is the fact that a lot of host employers want to make sure that they get learners that are at least well equipped about the sector.
Or have some skills.
Yeah. And again, we have this gap about who will equip these learners. Yeah. That's where, as an organization, we say, okay, fine, let's raise our hand and say, we will create a library. We will at least educate young people what is real estate. So when someone goes to your franchise, they understand what is an OTP, what is a mandate, what is a sole mandate. You don't need to teach them that. It's already been done by us. And I think that's the first part. And the second part is the fact that we also need to be fair as society, in a sense that a lot of people that drive business, it's also people that want to make sure that they just make profit, guys. Socio-economic issues are there. Yeah. But when I run a business, I want to make sure that, firstly, it's a brand that I've invested in. I've taken so much risk. So we need to make sure that, firstly, from the Services SETA side, there are programs that are making students ready for them to, by the time they go to corporate, they are ready for corporate and they are able to adapt. Like I said, real estate is commission based. we often sell the numbers that have made so many millions,
Yeah.
but we don't sell the state of mental readiness in terms of how do you get to those millions, you know. So I think there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done
Absolutely.
in terms of the skills development, but the readiness part of it. Also, CPDs, continuous development programs. This is where now learners must be continuously engaged in terms of what's happening in the sector. I think this is one of the sectors whereby people would stay as interns for years. Umuntu abe intern for 6 or 7 years. It can't be. The status must change. You must grow from being an intern, full status.
You must level up.
Yeah, you know. So I think, like I said, there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done from SETA and other corporate, including ourselves as an organization, to make sure that, look, like I've said, we ensure we can only play a part where we have capacity, you know. So we can play a certain part in making sure that, look, young people understand the basic language of real estate. By the time they go either into an interview, even the simple things, they've already learned them from our portal. So I think that part needs to be well taken care of. And also ensuring that continuously they're engaged with the lenders. I'm saying this is now Service SETA. Because why? By the time we take these lenders to corporate, and this is what I firmly believe in, we can't incubate anyone forever. So we need to make sure that by the time they're done or they're out of the programs, they are absorbed by these companies. Correct. They can stand alone without the reliance of Services SETA. So also corporate also, I think they need to adapt into cultures of absorbing learners and understanding that these are learners. Let's give them an opportunity.
To grow.
There's no man who lives in an island. Even people that have made it to bigger spaces, someone has given you an opportunity.
Absolutely.
You know, and we understand that obviously in other companies it's not the culture. But we would definitely love to encourage that, because I can assure you, young people have hunger for days and they're driven with so many innovative things that can happen. And you might never know. You might hire someone today, then they turn your company into
literally flip it completely around.
You know, so it's just giving them an opportunity and showing them that, look, here's a space, and not setting up for failure, you know. So,
Siyabonga, it's so beautiful to hear a story from someone that cares and has the intention to want to, you know, develop and grow our youth and really give back into the youth to kind of change those numbers around. Please let our people know where they can get involved if they perhaps want to join SAYIPA, if they want to get their foot into the property market. How can they go about getting involved?
Okay, so SAYIPA, we have a portal, like I've explained. For you to join a membership, it's just 30 Rand per month, 250 per annum. This gives you a foot in our organization and more opportunities, because I think we are the forefront of the youth, you know. So when the opportunities, we actually give them to the young people that are within our ranks. So on our website, we are SAYIPA, so it's www.sayipa.co.za. On Instagram, we are SAYIPA_Africa. And the African context, I want to emphasize in it. We have a global 200-year plan. So once we have stabilized a South African context of youth in property, we'll go to Botswana and launch, hence the African emphasis there. So on Facebook, we are South African Youth in Property Association and all the other social media platforms. So do connect with us. I think on the 25th again of October, we are having a South African Youth in Property Association 3rd annual gala dinner. I think this is where now.
This is the gala dinner that we've been talking about.
Yeah, and
so
you can't miss it. No, you can't. You can't. I think we've created something very special for young people. And it's purely from a resource base. There's no special funding we get. It shows that we've got appetite to get things done. So this year, it's the 3rd time we are hosting the gala dinner. It's going to be held in Durban, ICC.
Amazing.
It's going to be beautiful. You don't want to miss it. That's one thing I can assure you. You don't want to miss it. Yeah.
Siyabonga Mshibe, he's the chairperson of SAYIPA, that is the South African Youth in Property Association. He joins us to give us a little bit more for the youth, by the youth. Well, he has 2 more years until you can't say that. Thank you so much for coming through to join us.
Thank you.
Within Services SETA, there are 6 chambers, each catering to specific industries. The Services SETA Strategy and Insight Department handles both planning and research. It not only develops strategies, but also evaluates the impact of grants and training programs to ensure they achieve the intended outcomes. The Services SETA Strategy and Insights Department carries out skills planning, which informs the following. what qualifications to be developed or updated, what skills the sector needs now versus in the future, and how to allocate grant funding efficiently. So remember those 6 chambers I mentioned within the services sector? Well, here they are: cleaning and hiring services, communications and marketing, labor and collective services, management and business, personal care, and real estate and related services. Now, here are the steps you need to become a qualified property practitioner. First, you must be 18 years or older with a valid South African ID or legal residency. You must register as a candidate property practitioner with the PPRA. You must complete the occupational certificate in real estate, which qualifies to an NQF level 4 qualification through an accredited provider. You must serve a 12-month internship under the supervision of a qualified principal agent. You must maintain a portfolio of evidence, which is a POE, to record practical experience, successfully complete the professional designated examination, which is a PDE4, to become a fully status agent.